Hey, folks, welcome to Market Intraday Analysis by InTheMoneyStocks.com, your leaders in pure technical analysis, avoiding all that Wall Street hype. Today, Thursday, April 7th, 2011. Well, let's talk some market action here, folks. Just a reminder, you can take a free trial for the Research Center and the Intraday Stock Chat by going to InTheMoneyStocks.com. It's a one-week free trial. Get involved right now. Now, the markets are seeing a little bit of downside today after there was another earthquake in Japan, and oil rallied above $110 per barrel. $110 is a pivotal level at this point, and again, it's an even number. It's a scary even number. Right now, we are trading just above 110 per barrel, and again, we have about 15 minutes until spot crude closes today, so it looks like we'll close right around that level. Now, bottom line is, initially the markets opened slightly lower. Now, why did they open slightly lower? Well, the dollar was just fractionally higher. And again, that higher dollar puts a little bit of pressure on commodities. We saw gold, silver, and oil flatten slightly negative early on. And then all of a sudden, as soon as the market opened slightly down, the dollar started to fall. And this has been a common theme out there, very, very common. And as the dollar falls intraday, the markets get a lift because you start to see commodities getting a lift, gold, silver, and the rest of them. They shot up into the 10 o'clock time frame. Now, just before we got to a double top, and you can see the double top from yesterday on the intraday 10-minute SPY chart right here, just before we got there, all of a sudden word broke that there was a 7.2 earthquake in Japan again. And again, now all of a sudden people were worried about more economic hardships because of wreckage and buildings collapsing. And then you also had to worry about a tsunami. A tsunami warning was issued. That's since been lifted. And then also you have to worry about probably the biggest issue there, which is the nuclear power plants. Is there going to be more meltdowns going on? Is there going to be more radiation spewed all over, the Pacific, all over the world, really, but mostly around Japan? And this just shook the markets left and right. You saw the markets collapsing all the way down, and this is where volume really kicked in. Early on, we had almost no volume in this market. It was just a slow float up like we're used to, and then all of a sudden, down to the downside, the market goes, and volume surges. As the markets came down to the low end here, you had a blue trend line of major support. You also had this level that we pierced. They started to get a big bounce. We shot back up as word came out that it wasn't really a horrible disaster, not like the original. Again, as the market sold off, then again coming back in, volatility ripping through the markets. I mean, it was just unbelievable to trade this, to be involved, to be watching this even, and see everything that was going on. So again, as the markets, again, were whipping back and forth, you're trying to figure out, okay, well, what's really going on in Japan right now? In addition, as the market started to rally up here, and they did have a huge bounce, we actually turned back basically to the flat line on the day right up here at the highs of the afternoon session. This is when oil started to take off. Take a look at the USO chart right now, folks. Look at this move up. See this massive move on oil on the USO chart, which is the ETF for oil? This massive move coincided with the sell-off that we've recently seen in the SPY from here down. And this is really where we started to hit that 110 level. As soon as we hit 110, as I told the Research Center subscribers and the Intraday Stock Chat subscribers, that's where the market has the pivotal level. And that's where it's going to start to freak out. And sure enough, even though things in Japan seem to be a little bit quieter after this earthquake, it doesn't look as devastating as the first. The fact that oil moved higher now is causing the markets to see some selling. And down we've gone on the markets back to the negative side. It's not a hugely big down day by any stretch. Right now, Dow is down 60 points. NASDAQ down only 5. S&P 500 down about 5 points as well. Basically a 0.25% to 0.5% drop across the board. But the key, again, has to be recognized, the oil trade. This is where oil starts to make its move up when the markets are at the highs of the day. As oil goes this way, the markets start going this way. And that will continue, guys. Be ready for that because it will continue. Mark my words. All right, if oil rallies tomorrow, if it rallies the next day, you will see markets come down as this pivotal level. This is now new uncharted territory, at least in the last couple years for oil, and it is a big worry. How much economic issues, what kind of economic issues is this going to cost? When are people going to stop driving as much? When's demand going to slow down? When are people going to stop spending money on, going shopping on the weekends because they have to fill up their gas tank for work? And that's really what the worry is now as oil continues higher. And again, it is right now above $110 per barrel. And again, let me flip back to the USO. The USO spot crude should be closing shortly. You can see it has pulled off those highs, which has helped the market stabilize a little bit. But by no means is it a weak day on oil. It is a very, very strong day. Spot crude, again, trading up well over $1, basically $1.25 at this point, above 110 per barrel. All right, now a couple other things to go over here. Let's take a look at the dollar. The dollar is fractionally higher, but again, remember how we talked about how the open today saw the dollar sharply higher, and then it just collapsed back down. That's why we got that initial bid in the markets. And again, the markets are generally trading in the opposite direction of the dollar, mainly because the black box trading programs are set up that way. All right, and again, now oil is taking over as the leader as the dollar has gone flat. Oil now is freaking the markets out as it's gotten above 110. Silver and gold, basically flat. SLV's up 3 cents today. GLD is down about 12 cents. So you have a basic flat day on gold and silver. So commodities are being led by oil today, with gold and silver kind of flat on the day. Let's take a look at a couple other stocks. What's a big moving stock today? Chevron, for the second day in a row, is to the downside. I think that's important, although it's not a big drop by any stretch. It was down much, much more earlier, but it's come back. But the question is, do we have 2 consecutive down days with a close on the second day below the lows of the first day? We're very much borderline knowing about that, and that could be a signal that Chevron has short-term topped if we close below. I think the level is 108.40. If we close below 108.40 today, that could be a little bit of a signal that you have made a change in direction on Chevron, and it may start to come back in over the next week or two. So watch that very closely, folks. We will monitor it. I'll be monitoring it myself. We'll be discussing it tonight in the nightly video to the Research Center members. And again, you can take that free trial, 1-week free trial to the Research Center, start getting involved, start getting educated, and start making the good money that you should be making in this market. All right, ExxonMobil today up 17 cents. Again, kind of a flattish day there. Goldman Sachs having a strong day, although it is off the highs. Notice the last few days on Goldman Sachs. From this low push, it's basically gone vertical until this nice consolidation pattern. Although I have to say, same thing happened right here. See this consolidation? Look at the move up it had. Now it's doing the same pattern again. Does that tell us that the next couple days might see a move up? Tomorrow is Friday. Generally, Friday sees a flat to neutral positive market, although I think oil will take precedence in that situation. If oil's higher, I wouldn't necessarily always expect the Friday effect to play out if oil pushes up into the weekend like it very possibly could. All right, taking a look at a couple other stocks. Google having a good day today. GOOG is the symbol there, up about $4.35. Google hit a key pivotal level right down here. From that level, it had a great reversal to the upside. Yesterday was up about $5. Today, up about $5 again. So a nice little move on Google. Cisco, which had a great move yesterday, hit my master level. Take a look at this, guys. CSCO on the charts. The 1820 level was my second target here. And the reason why you know this, see this little pivot drop right here? See this little drop? Take that low pivot and just draw it right across and look at the high today. And that's how I came up with that number, by the way, folks. Just noticing the major low pivot before it bounced. That was going to be resistance. Sure enough, that's exactly where we hit today. And then look at the reversal on that stock. Beautiful little reversal. All right, so keep an eye on the levels. As long as you know the levels, you can literally pinpoint every top and bottom in a market or every place where any stock is going to reverse or make another move up. Again, it's not brain surgery by any stretch. It just takes a little bit of know-how, a little bit of guidance from the pros here at InTheMoneyStocks.com. All right, looking across the board, folks, again, the big things today you're watching are the dollar and our oil. You're kind of keeping one eye on Japan. Europe, again, continues to have problems. Portugal needs a bailout. They're going to get it, obviously, but that's kind of old news at this point. We all know about that. We've known about that for weeks, if not months now, so it's not a big deal. And again, the question is, when do they run out of money, and does that happen? Then we might see a big issue there. Now, the ECB raised interest rates last night. Now, at this point, the Fed is kind of lagging the ball here or dropping the ball on inflation, but that's what the Fed wants to do. Remember, the Fed has wanted to increase inflation for some time. You've seen it in oil and gold and silver, guys. I mean, that's really what the Fed was wanting to do. Now, it doesn't mean that they want the commodities like oil that high, but that's ultimately was their policy. Inflate, drop the dollar, inflate asset prices to get the market back roaring again. Now, the problem is they're dealing with is, well, now you have oil at $110 a barrel, and the average American is going to have trouble filling up their gas tank to go to work nonstop every single day. It's going to cut into spending. So it's a double-edged sword, and they put themselves in this position. Well, they put all of us in this position, really, and there's not a good outcome either way. I mean, even if you tighten interest rates, oil's not going to go away. You still have growth in the global emerging markets. Oil probably could pull back from this level up here, but it's not going to drop that much. Maybe back to $100 at the biggest sell-off, maybe 99, 98, but that's about it. And then ultimately, you know, oil is going higher anyways because we're so dependent, especially because now nuclear energy, no one really wants it at all based on what happened in Japan. So it's a conundrum the Fed is going to have to figure out. They got us in this mess. Unfortunately, we're paying the price. They're going to have to try to get us out at some point, and we'll see how they do that and how much more problems do they cause when they try to get us out of this mess. That's really the big question. All right. Other than that, I think that's about it for today, folks. Some interesting action. Let's go back to the SPY. And you can see the SPY is kind of just still hovering to the downside here. We talked again about as soon as oil hit 110, you saw a nice little sell-off. Now oil stalled out just above 110. The trade on the SPY, the markets are going sideways. Join the intraday stock chat. Take the free trial. Join the research center. Take the free trial. Find us at inthemoneystocks.com. Take care, folks.